G'day Swans fans, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a cracker of a week. Although if you've seen the news coming out of Moore Park over the last 24 hours, you might be feeling a bit flat today. Look, we love talking about the footy, we love the hype of the pre-season, seeing the boys sweating it out in the Sydney heat, getting ready for a massive 2026. But unfortunately, the reality of this sport is that injuries are part of the game, and sometimes it feels like the footy gods just have it out for certain blokes. Today, we've got to have a serious chat about Taylor Adams. Just when we thought he was ready to tackle the new season with a clean slate, disaster has struck again. It's the kind of news that just makes you shake your head and feel gutted for the player. We're talking about a veteran who has given absolutely everything to the game, trying to get his body right, only to be dealt another massive blow right before the Christmas break. We're going to dive deep into exactly what's happened, the specifics of the injury, what the club has said, and honestly, what this means for Tay's future at the Swans. Because let's be real, he's 32 now, and the clock is ticking. So grab a cold one or a coffee, settle in, and let's break down this latest setback for the Bloods.
All right, let's get straight into the nitty-gritty of what's gone down. The headline is a tough one to read. Taylor Adams has suffered a partial tear of his Achilles tendon. This happened at training on Friday. The boys have been pushing hard, trying to bank those kilometers before the festive break, and unfortunately, Adams has gone down. Now, for anyone who's ever had Achilles issues, or even just a bit of tendinitis, you know that is a particularly nasty part of the body to injure. It's not just a muscle strain, it's the structural integrity of your lower leg. The club has come out and confirmed the news, stating that Tay is going to be in a moon boot for several weeks. That's the immediate reality for him. While the rest of us are running around getting ready for Christmas, maybe having a game of backyard cricket, Taylor Adams is going to be hobbling around in a boot, completely immobilized. That is a mental battle in itself. The Swans have said he won't be recommencing his recovery and training until January. Now, let's unpack that a bit. Recommencing recovery doesn't mean running laps in January. It means getting out of the boot and starting the very slow, tedious process of strengthening that calf and tendon again. It's a partial tear, not a full rupture, which is the only silver lining here. If it was a full rupture, we'd be talking about a 12-month layoff and likely the end of his career right then and there. But a partial tear is still incredibly tricky. It requires patience. You can't rush an Achilles. If you come back too early, it snaps. Simple as that. So he's effectively lost the most crucial block of the preseason. This period right now leading into Christmas and that block in January is where you build the tank. It's where you build the resilience to get through a 23-round season. For a midfielder, especially an inside bull like Adams, that base fitness is everything. To be sidelined now means he's starting from scratch effectively in late January or February, chasing the pack. It's just a shocking blow. You see the photos of him in action earlier this year or at training, and you know how hard he works, but the body just isn't cooperating right now. And for a bloke who relies on explosive power, pushing off the mark, changing direction in traffic, the Achilles is the engine room for that movement. This isn't just a niggle, this is a serious structural setback that puts his start to the 2026 campaign in serious doubt.
Now, to really understand the weight of this injury, we have to look at the context of the last couple of years. This isn't an isolated incident, and that's what makes it so frustrating for everyone involved, the club, the fans, and mostly for Taylor himself. Let's rewind a bit. We brought Adams over from Collingwood at the end of 2023. The logic was sound. We needed an experienced head, a bit of mongrel in the midfield, someone to help guide our young guns like Chad Warner and Errol Golden. We wanted that finals experience, but since he crossed the border to Sydney, it has been an absolute nightmare on the injury front. In the 2025 season, the season just gone, he only managed to play 4 AFL games. 4. That is a devastating return for a player of his calibre. He spent more time running around in the VFL, featuring 5 times there, just trying to get match fitness, but he could never get a clear run at it. The story of 2025 was dominated by his hamstrings. He suffered multiple hamstring injuries throughout the year. It felt like every time he got close to selection or played a game or two, ping, the hammy would go again. It was a tough season on the injury front for the Swans generally, but Adams really copped the brunt of it. You've got to feel for the bloke. Remember, he left Collingwood essentially because he missed out on their premiership side in 2023 due to injury, and he wanted to be playing senior footy. He comes to Sydney looking for a fresh start, and instead he's been stuck in the rehab group for the better part of 2 years. Across his 2 seasons at the Swans so far, he's played a total of 23 AFL games. That's roughly half the games he could have played. When you're a veteran, when you're 32 years old, your value is in being on the park, being that reliable general. You can't lead from the grandstand. It raises some tough questions about durability. When you start having soft tissue injuries, hamstrings, and then you follow it up with a tendon injury like an Achilles, it's often a sign that the body is struggling to cope with the load of AFL football. The kinetic chain is all connected. You compensate for a sore hammy, you load up the calf, the Achilles takes the strain, and bang, it's a vicious cycle. This latest injury just compounds that tough run narrative. It's not just bad luck anymore, it's a pattern. And for a club that is trying to keep its premiership window wide open, carrying a player who can't get on the park becomes a difficult equation to balance. We all know what he can do when he's fit. He's a ball magnet, he's tough as nails, but the when he's fit part of that sentence is becoming harder and harder to rely on.
So, looking ahead, where does this leave us for 2026? The Swans open the 2026 AFL season with a massive clash at home against Carlton on March 5. That is locked in. The date is set. But if we're being realistic, it is highly, highly unlikely we see Taylor Adams running out onto the SCG for that game. If he's in a moon boot until January and then recommencing recovery, not full training but recovery, he's going to be weeks, if not months, behind the rest of the squad. You can't just throw a 32-year-old straight into round 1 against a midfield like Carlton's without a proper preseason. The intensity would break him. Best case scenario, maybe we see him mid-year. Maybe he comes back through the VFL again. But you have to wonder, with the depth we're building in the midfield, does he walk back into the team? The game waits for no one. We've got young blokes hungry for spots. If Adams is on the sidelines, someone else is getting those minutes, getting that experience. This puts massive pressure on his future. He's contracted, but at his age, every major injury brings the R word, retirement, a little bit closer to the conversation. I don't think he's done yet. He's too much of a competitor to go out like this. He'll want to prove everyone wrong. He'll want to get back and contribute. But the mountain just got a hell of a lot steeper. This Achilles injury changes the dynamic of our list management for the year. We can't bank on Adams being that 22-game midfielder. We have to plan as if he's a bonus if he plays. It puts more load on Parker, if he's still rotating through, on Rob Bottom, on the leaders to step up and fill that void of experience. It's going to be a fascinating, albeit nervous watch over the summer to see how he tracks. Will he be running by February? Will he have setbacks? Every update from the club is going to be scrutinised. March 5 is the target for the team, but for Taylor Adams, the target is just getting out of that moon boot and walking without pain. It's a long road back from here, mates. It's a somber note to hit, but that's the reality of the game we love. Taylor Adams is facing another uphill battle. A partial Achilles tear is no joke, and for a warrior who just wants to play footy, sitting in a moon boot over Christmas is the last thing he deserves. We're wishing him all the best with the recovery. If anyone has the mental toughness to grind through rehab again, it's probably Tay Adams, but you'd have to think 2026 is a make or break year for his career at the Swans. What do you reckon, Swans fans? Are you worried this might be the beginning of the end for Adams? Or do you back him to get right and impact the back half of the season? Let us know in the comments below. I always love reading your thoughts. Don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate the update and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news leading up to that round 1 blockbuster against the Blues. We'll keep you posted on every development. Look after yourselves, enjoy the break, and as always, cheer cheer the red and the white. Catch you later.